And welcome back into the sports money coverage of the PGA Tour here. We're down to the wire. We're down to Wyndham Championship, just a couple weeks away, Jeff, before we get to, of course, the BMW Championship. For all the marbles in golf, they've got the Ryder Cup right around the corner as well. So we'll talk to you guys today about some of the implications facing the field this week. Kurt Kitayama gets it done last week. We talked to you guys specifically about it being a wide open field, getting an opportunity to make some paydays happen out there. And Jeff, I know we both had some paydays last week. How about you? Tell them what's going on.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid week of golf, made for an interesting event, given the fact that Scotty and Roars weren't at the top of the leaderboard, weren't even on the leaderboard for that matter. I ended up cashing a top 20 with Grillo at plus 220, and then I also got the Chris Goddard up spot in the top 10 at plus 250. So a couple of decent payouts last week. Looking forward to keeping it rolling.
Just a couple weeks left, but they do have the wraparound schedule. So despite the majors being off the board, we'll come down to that BMW Championship for the FedEx Cup. We'll have the opportunity for the Ryder Cup. But this week, Sedgefield Country Club down in Greensboro, North Carolina, Jeff. And I got to say, it's been hot, H-O-T, up here. I can only imagine what it's like down there. Are you ready to fire here? We'll talk a little bit about this track. We'll go some top 20s, some top 10s, some first-round leaders, some outright winners as well, Jeff. But looking at the course last year, it was Aaron Ray that finds the way. And interesting enough, he's kind of the middle of that top 5 leaderboard out there. Matty Fitzpatrick, the number 1 gun, had a top 4 finish at the British Open. Ryder Cup captain opportunities galore here with Keegan Bradley. So some interesting things I found when I read this track, or when I read up on this track. First and foremost, got to be tight with your approach shot. You got to putt well on the Bermuda greens. Those are kind of 2 of the core staples for this track. There are some reachable par 5s. A little bit of distance does come into play, being able to go out there, but strokes gained on the approach is probably going to be the biggest benchmark, if you will, the biggest deciding factor, at least for the list I put together, Jeff. But we'll talk about it here. A couple of guys that maybe you guys in the chat weren't aware of here to keep an eye on, but there's 2 of them specifically. Keegan Bradley. Not only does he have the Air Jordan logo on his golf shoes, one of just a few across all of sports. However, said he won't choose himself for the Ryder Cup unless he gets the guaranteed spot, which means he has to be in the top 6, has won a tour event this year, but certainly needs to have a big finish. He's 10 in the standings. Top 6 gets the automatic bid. So he's got some room to work with, Jeff. On the other side of things, he's got a buddy in Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth is going to be fighting for his life here. He'll be lucky to even get into that BMW Championship. He's 50th in the rankings. Let's start with you, Jeff. Couple of spots to get us paid. Talk to us about your top 20s and your top 10s.
Yeah, one of the things I did want to mention, you mentioned the length of the course. That's actually the average fairway width, which stood out to me, was 29.5 yards. So it's a narrow fairway. So you're going to have to be striping it, and you're going to have to be striping it down the middle. That's for sure. But let's roll with the top 20s. I rolled with a couple of guys, both at plus 280. I got Andrew Novak to come in the top 20 and Bud Cauley, both at plus 280. Top 20s for me. And then I rolled back there with Captain. Needs to get up there in the top 5 at least this week. I got Keegan Bradley, top 5 at plus 280 as well. And then I rode with Harry Hall as well. He's plus 450 to come in the top 10. So I got Keegan Bradley and Harry Hall, top 10s. I thought those were pretty good prices. I do see Keegan having a pretty good tournament, solid, playing pretty steady out there. You know, and to your point, he wants to come in the top 6 so he earns it. But if not, he's going to probably give it to his buddy Spieth, who hasn't really done a whole lot out there the last couple of tournaments. So we'll see what happens. There's my top 20s and top 10s. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that giving it to his buddy situation out there. If he's not going to give it to himself, his buddy might have to slip him a couple hundos to get there. I took Matt Kuchar in my top 20, plus 360 for Cooch. A couple thoughts, again, in terms of the metrics, great putter, accurate on the drive, has played well here before. He had a top 12 last year. He finished top 5 at the John Deere. So I like some of those numbers at a plus 360 for Cooch to go figure it out. Top 20, I'm going to go with Bjorn Olesen. Finished himself in 14th last week out there. So he's fighting. He's competitive. He's a plus 300 at that top 20. And then I've got 3 top 10s. I've got Kurt Kitayama. I took him at plus 450. Why not? He fired, especially when it got really competitive out there the second half of that tournament last week. Top 10 for Aaron Ray. Guy we talked about won this tournament last year at plus 300. I did fire on some Jordan Spieth in the top 10, plus 300. knowing his boy's not going to give it to him. And then Denny McCarthy is my top 5. Big swing for 11-1. Keegan Bradley. I'm with you with Keegan. I got him plus 450 for the top 5. Let's talk about some of your outright winners, Jeff.
Yeah, so my top 5 actually, I got Lucas Glover, the guy who seems to be pretty steady out there. Just can't seem to close out a tournament, but he did win one of these. What was it, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago? He won here. So Lucas Glover at top 5 at plus 800 was a pretty big bomb. And then I went with your boy you just mentioned, Matt Fitzpatrick, plus 450 as well in the top 5. So I got Lucas Glover and Matt Fitzpatrick. I did take a shot with the winner, the Ben Griffin at plus 2,500. He's second on the list over there in the top 5. And then the other outright winner I went with, I took a shot with your boy Denny McCarthy at plus 5,500, 55-1 for Denny McCarthy to outright win this thing. I think he's got a viable shot, and I'm certainly rooting for him at 55-1.
Big price tags. Yeah, I'm going to fire in here. I gave you some of those early spots. You know, I like to mess around with these first round leaders as well. Fitzpatrick 40-1, Aaron Ray 45-1. Going back to Ricky, I don't care, 60-1. He's got to bust through here. He's got to give it up. Denny McCarthy 65-1, and Grillo, we talked about him last week at 71. Just going to have 0.2 units a piece on all of those guys to equal a full unit. And speaking of units, the big unit, Jordan Spieth. Why Jordan Spieth? Guy was just out there doing a little cameo in Happy Gilmore 2. He's got to be feeling pretty good about himself despite a mediocre season. Needs it. We talked about it. His boy's not going to just give it to him. 30-1, Jordan Spieth. Denny McCarthy's my big swing at 55-1. And we'll see about live betting these guys here, but I think that's a well-rounded field. We've got some guys that have some skin in the game. That's the most important thing when it comes to some of these later round tournaments, Jeff. Tell them what's going on. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you can follow me over at XMMAJeff19. As typical, we're going to roll First Strike tomorrow, and then we've got the show on Saturday. So we've got, I think we got 12 or 13 fights, so it's going to be a pretty exciting card. So I'm looking forward to it.
Good stuff. You guys can follow me at X at PimSlapPod. And of course, we've got big things happening pregame and Monday to Friday at 6 p.m. And yeah, we're talking about some extra content there. The First Strike, 5-1 our last 6. So get ready tomorrow for some UFC betting action. Good luck to everybody with their golf action. And on behalf of the Sports Money crew, have a great 4 rounds of golf at the Wyndham Championship. And we'll be back next week to talk to you guys about some more golfing action.